the Golden Arrow bus service, confirming that 3 of its buses have been torched in Cape Town this morning. This brings the total number of buses set alight since Thursday to 9. Once again, commuters have been left stranded after talks between Santaco and the local government failed over the weekend. COSATU in the Western Cape accusing Cape Town's Safety and Security MMC, JP Smith, of weaponizing the city against taxi operators.
What we've seen is that a bylaw has now been turned into a crisis around public transport for poorer people. This should surely have been dealt with much better from the authorities, and we feel that JP Smith is the main one that's weaponizing taxi regulations and effectively is fueling a war on the Cape Flats, because the problems around public transport is now grinding the city to a halt, and JP Smith, who should not even be in the lead of any discussions dealing with public transport, is now exacerbating the situation by calling for the arrest and impoundment of taxis if there are any further incidents.
Let's stay with COSATU's Tony Ehrenreich, who adds that JP Smith's actions are politically motivated, he says.
We think that there is a problem. This is clearly the political agenda, because in the rest of the country we can find solutions to challenges that arise from time to time in the taxi industry, as they inevitably will. But we must find solutions around the negotiating table, and we think if you can't find solutions in a locale, in a metropolitan or in a municipality, then the province and national government must be involved. Where we think JP Smith's kind of style inflames the situation and doesn't help us to get towards solutions, as when he calls for a tit for that kind of attitude in his Twitter accounts by saying that they must now arrest more taxis in the event of there being any incidents of violence on the Cape Flats, which may be totally unrelated to the industry. So all he's doing is causing further challenges and not helping us to get closer to a solution on the crisis.
Meanwhile, Santaco in the Western Cape says negotiations with government are not yielding any results.
The negotiations are not going well because all what we wanted is a moratorium on impoundments. So that is not being given. And therefore we can't go back to work if that is not given, because what if 100 taxis are taken for impoundment, and yet that is something that made us to embark on a stairway. We all want a moratorium on impoundment for a certain period. And the period that we asked yesterday was very simple. 7 days, then we sit and discuss on meetings, because all this is about the conditions on operating license, you know. But that is where we don't see each other. So the city and the Department of Transport in the province, they don't want to give us the 7 days.
All right, let's get in touch with our reporter now, Nasiphi, who is following the events there on the ground for us. Nasiphi, good morning to you. Some sad news coming through that a person has been killed. Do we know the circumstances that led to that person dying?
Well, Xoli, according to reports from police, is that the person opened fire at people that were plotting, or rather throwing stones at his vehicle, and that obviously led to the death of one person and injuring about 3 others. And basically that is what has been happening, or the scenes we've been seeing throughout the city of Cape Town, including the province, where violence has erupted and innocent people, or rather their cars, are caught in the crossfire of those stones. Some vehicles even being torched in some communities. So it's quite concerning. However, at this present moment, it is just information that just came in from authorities confirming that death, including the injury of about 3 people.
Nasiphi, any end in sight as regards this taxi strike? We know last week Friday, the MMC for Safety and Security, JP Smith, telling this show that on Monday the talks were likely to resume. Has there been any development in terms of bringing the warring parties, if you like, around the negotiating table?
There's been a series of meetings, Xoli, this past weekend alone. On Friday, the meeting with the national minister and bringing the parties together, including Saturday and Sunday, where we understand that Santaco met, and later on in the day around 4 o'clock, they met again with the local and a provincial government to try and map a way forward in regards to the impasse that has seen commuters stranded all across the Western Cape. However, what we understand from that meeting of 4 o'clock, the meeting collapsed as we understand that the two parties could not meet on common ground. And with that being said, yesterday also a Golden Arrow bus approaching the Western Cape High Court to interdict the violence and intimidation on its bus drivers and members. And however, we are now seeing even more violence playing out in the streets. So at this present moment, it does not seem like there is going to be It does not seem like the war between, or rather the impasse between the two parties is going to end anytime soon, taking into account the various interventions we saw this past weekend alone with the National Minister of Transport also trying to intervene, but it does not seem like the two parties are budging. And as you mentioned, at the center of this impasse between government, local and provincial government, and the taxi industry is those impoundments and the amended bylaw that the City of Cape Town is saying that they have not started implementing the bylaw on taxis and impounding of taxis. However, they are using a national law, and that their fight, or the taxi industry's fight, is indeed with national government.